Hello, incredible soul. I am Anna Fink, the Wellness Architect, and welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast. I want to share something vulnerable and personal with you as it's been a deep part of my own journey and stemmed from a very young age. I have struggled with body dysmorphia and disordered eating for so much of my life and have only now begun to touch freedom. Freedom within my body, freedom within my mind, freedom with food. And I want to share the experience and a lasting imprint for me because I had a lot of insecurity. I never saw myself as beautiful. I always fixated on my body. I dealt with weight issues and felt like I wasn't beautiful enough. I felt like I wasn't thin enough. And this all stemmed from a distorted relationship with my body, but then also the way I saw the media portray women and the expectations and the idealized standards of what women are expected to look like, their bodies, their beauty, etc. And I had an experience early on where I was told that I wasn't photogenic. My dad was taking photos of me in high school and said, "You're not photogenic." And that moment impacted me in such a deep way. I felt so insecure. I felt so vulnerable. I felt like, who am I? If I'm not photogenic, then why, why am I being seen? I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to hide. I wanted to stay small. I wanted to play small. So I did. And it influenced how I saw myself for so many years. I lived in that cycle of body dysmorphia, shaming my body, criticizing my body, disordered eating, and that cycle continued. I told myself things that I wasn't worthy. I told myself my body wasn't beautiful enough. And I told myself that when I looked a certain way, then I would be happy, then I would be beautiful, then I would be wanted or worthy. I told myself that when I had that body, when I was at that weight, I would then love my body. But all of this was not true, and it kept me in that shame cycle. And so long before I even had language to describe it, my relationship with my body was shaped by moments of fear, of feeling inadequate, and they were embedded, locked in my nervous system. And that moment with my dad, feeling like I was not enough, that no matter what I did, no matter how much I achieved, how much I strived, what I did for him to be loved, to be responsible, to show my love, to show how capable I was, it felt like it was never good enough. And at that time, I was so insecure. I was in high school, and that's a tender time for a lot of humans, especially women. But I always felt like I was never the pretty girl. I always felt like I did not fit in, and I always thought there was something wrong with me. And so those beliefs didn't exist in isolation. They became the lens through which I saw myself, shaping my confidence, my identity, and the way I moved through the world. I began to hide. I played small. I wanted to fit in and just be normal. I believed that being seen was unsafe, and so I didn't want to be seen. And many people look at me now, they look at me as the wellness architect. They assume that my body confidence came easy. And I've had women tell me that you've never had to worry about your weight. You're so lucky that you're tall and you're thin. But these assumptions are rooted in appearance, not awareness, because what it looks like is not always what it is. And yes, I've been called lucky. I've been told I have good genetics and that I've been blessed, but I've also been called a skinny bee. And as if all of that erased my lived experience, as if radiant health simply came so easily and effortlessly without the confusion, the struggle, or the self-doubt. But the truth is, I became who I am because I struggled. I struggled with my health. I struggled with my body. I struggled with my weight and with my self-confidence. I chose this path because I was living so disconnected from my body, overwhelmed by conflicting information, and disempowered in my health, in my life. I walked myself through uncertainty, shame, and physical imbalance. And the becoming came after the hardship, not because of it, not before it. And so now the work I do as a wellness architect is such a powerful testament to our ability to overcome the wounds, to see the power in the pain, and to alchemize the pain into purpose. Because stepping into this role has required me to be seen, to lead, and to express myself. It's being vulnerable, it's being seen on camera fully, which is one of my greatest vulnerabilities. And it highlights these insecurities that still arise. I've been seen now on camera, on video, and last year I chose to do an embodied photo shoot. And I had never had an embodiment photographer before, but I felt like this was something very important. And I'd always seen myself through this lens of not pretty enough, not skinny enough, not good enough. But this photo shoot wasn't just about images that were pretty. It was about confronting a belief I had carried my whole life, the one that I wasn't beautiful, the one I was not worthy of being seen. And for the first time, I saw myself through a different lens, not through the lens of judgment nor inadequacy, but the lens of presence, of acceptance, of presence. I felt something within my whole body and my nervous system soften, and I began to recognize and see my own beauty, not as performance, simply as truth. That I didn't have to try to be something I'm not. I didn't have to try to be beautiful. I simply am beautiful. And we don't have to strive so hard to be seen, to be different, to be expressed in our natural beauty, because that natural beauty comes through when we are fully aligned and fully true to ourselves. I realized that I had been seeing myself through a distorted lens, a lens rooted in lack and inadequacy, one of not enough. I had looked in the mirror for most of my life and criticized and shamed my appearance, my thighs, my face, my body, all parts. But during this photo shoot, I felt so much power. I felt so much ease, so much confidence in my body. And I realized, wow, I achieved the body that I'd been striving for, but I hadn't seen it because I was so focused on the next thing and the next achievement. And this shoot, I shared my story with the photographer and how uncomfortable I could feel being photographed, being seen, and how uncomfortable being a leader and being visible has been for me. But my photographer reflected something so profound back to me, something that shifted my perspective and the way I saw things. Because that story with my father of telling me that I wasn't photogenic wasn't the wound, it was the rising. And that same experience was never about being photogenic. It was about a reclamation of myself, a reclamation of my power, of my beauty, and allowing myself to be seen fully in my power, in my body, connected to my body, embodied and empowered without apology, because I am an embodied woman. I am the wellness architect and I'm here to lead, but I have to lead myself through these uncharted, uncharted territories and terrains. And this has been such a practice for me because healing doesn't erase the past. It simply rewrites the meaning that we assign to it, that we make of it. And healing changes the lens through which we see ourselves in the world. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, as Wayne Dyer says. And so I realized that it was never me, nor my body, nor my appearance that was distorted, but the lens through which I was seeing myself, seeing my body, seeing the world. And I still go through seasons. Recently, I even went through a season where I put on over 10 pounds and I started to feel really inflamed and big and heavy in my body. My body changed again, and old voices of shame and judgment and criticism resurfaced. And I recognized that familiar pull to measure my self worth based on my reflection, based on my weight. Yet instead of punishing myself, I chose presence. I chose to love and honor myself, and I guided myself through a radiance reset, not from discipline, but devotion, not from control, but from presence, from listening and honoring. And 18 days in, my body was responding so significantly, and it had responded within the first few days. But the first few days of this radiance reset were the hardest because, like anything, when we're starting something new, it feels the hardest at the beginning until we create that momentum that compounds. And as my body responded, the weight began to release, the inflammation diminished, my energy returned, my sleep deepened, my skin cleared, and my cycle returned without the pain and the PMS symptoms that I had always experienced before. And this is simply a testament of the power of embodied wellness. Embodied wellness is never about deprivation. It's only about devotion. It's not about control, but commitment. Commitment to yourself, to your body, to your health, to your radiance, to your confidence, to your soul, to your evolution. Because when you support and nourish your body rather than override and force and try and fix it, transformation becomes inevitable. And when one woman heals her relationship with her body, she changes not just her own experience, but the experience of her daughters, her experience, the experience of her mothers and their mothers. She doesn't just rise when she heals, she changes what's possible for every other woman. Because as women rise, they heal. And together we are meant to heal and rise. And this is our time. So, my journey and my experience with body dysmorphia and disordered eating is not meant to be shared to receive condolence or kind of attention. It's meant and it's shared as living proof that it's possible to transcend the challenges, to alchemize the wounds, and it's possible to heal. Because in my world, healing is not just something that feels impossible. Healing is inevitable, and it comes from aligning to your divine design, your human design, your body blueprint, and aligning and designing a lifestyle that truly creates that. So your body is the source of your power, but what has your relationship with your body been? How have you been criticizing your body? How have you been speaking about your body? How have you been looking at yourself in the mirror? And what do you most criticize about your body? But also, what do you most love? Because as we start to love ourselves and give ourselves that love that we think we're only worthy of when we get that body or that achievement or achieve that result and hit the number on the scale, we'll find something else to focus and fixate on. So this is about reclaiming your power, reclaiming your health, and becoming who you're meant to be, to rise embodied and empowered, to show up and to honor this temple, which is the temple for your soul. Your body is simply the temple for your soul. It's so much more than you realize. And your body image issues, your struggles with health are not meant to hinder you. They're meant to help you heal. They're meant to help you lead, to step into this next level of power and purpose. So may my healing and my rising inspire you to heal and rise. May I become evidence for you that it is possible too. Thank you so much for being here. If there's someone who you know could benefit from this message, please share it with them. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to this podcast, to my channel. That would be so amazing. And leave a comment, leave a review. I'd love to hear. I'm always looking to grow and refine and become more articulate, to become better in my presentation. So if there's something you loved, please let me know. If there's something you would love to hear more about, please let me know. Any and all feedback is welcome. I thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.